Turning to calls for accountability and the stories we've told you we will stay on, there are questions about whether 5 Memphis police officers may face criminal charges. In a tough case, 29-year-old Tyree Nichols died after being pulled over. This was on January 7th. The concern was stated as alleged reckless driving. In other words, a traffic stop. Now, here is what he looked like in the hospital after those cops were through with him. Now, this disturbing photo, which we're showing you because his family released it because they wanted the world to see the situation, is part of the criminal evidence now. He would go on to die 3 days after this photo was taken. Now, there's been a lot of pressure in the community. There is an internal investigation underway. Those officers were initially suspended, then terminated. A probe has found that they used, quote, excessive force and then did not render aid to this individual who was so badly hurt that, as reported, he later died. Now, there was an autopsy requested by the family, which showed that Nichols suffered extensive bleeding caused by a severe beating. A federal civil rights investigation is now also underway.
The Department of Justice cares deeply about potential violations of constitutional rights here in Memphis and throughout America. This federal civil rights investigation will be thorough, it will be methodical, and it will continue until we gather all the relevant facts.
That is what the feds are doing. They would presumably be able to get the body cam footage and other information. That footage we know exists, but has not yet been made public. State officials say it could be released out as soon as this week or next week. Now, the reason, again, we know about this, and I want to tell you about our sourcing as we cover this kind of story, is that the family and their lawyers saw it, some family members seeing part of it and describing it as appalling, deplorable, and heinous.
He was a human pinata for those police officers. It was an unadulterated, unabashed, nonstop beating of this young boy for 3 minutes.
Oh, my God.
We're joined now by Maya Wiley, CEO of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, who also worked in civilian oversight of the NYPD. Welcome back. This is a grim process, but as I emphasized, the family wants to make sure people know what they say happened. We don't have the video yet. Much of the evidence at this point looks like alleged abuse of force, a crime, or, depending on how the death is ruled, a homicide. What do you see in this case, and what happens next with the video, which we've seen in different localities, comes out maybe late or never?
Well, I will say the first thing I see in this case is a grieving mother.
Yeah.
And one in which I will say tonight, there are Black women all over this country who, if they haven't been in that position, are saying, once again, I fear for my children. So that's number one. In terms of the case itself, here's the thing. The most important, I call it evidence, I don't mean it's evidence, but it can be used, is that the police department itself not only fired them, but has put out a public statement making a determination that it was excessive force and they didn't intervene. That is rare, unusual, and dramatic.
I'll pause you on that because while it may sound straightforward, someone would say, well, again, based on the evidence we have, and in a trial this would be adjudicated, but it looks like this beating that led to a death. But to your point, we have heard from countless police leaders that they cannot say anything, that they cannot comment, that they have to wait. You're getting at an important point, which is that's not true. Why is that important?
It's important because so often police departments close ranks. They often have agreements with their police unions that give police officers much more protection from investigation than you or I would get if we were in a similar situation. And that usually means they hold off and say, we can't say anything or even take action, disciplinary action against police officers until there's a full and final investigation. So to have a police department move so quickly and definitively, including termination, as well as that public statement, that is a statement that they are saying they violated their own rules, regulations, training. It was excessive force, and that they did not intervene to stop, those officers did not continue to stop the excessive force. That, I'm just going to say that right there is an indicator to me that this footage and whatever else they had uncovered, including the autopsy report, is very strong evidence.
Yeah, I mean, I would call it extremely strong, potentially probative, and it's distinct from the fact that if charged, these people are legally presumed innocent. But the police leaders are saying they shouldn't be police. You mentioned mothers. I want to play a little bit more from Ms. Wells, the mother.
I watched about a minute of it, but I couldn't. Once I heard my son say, "What did I do?" I lost it, and I couldn't.
No father, mother should have to witness what I saw today.
3 minutes, Ari. 3 minutes. That's how long we have heard that he was beaten, for 3 minutes. That is an extremely long time. And what we're also hearing from the family is his question was, what did I do? We know that traffic stops are one of the places in which Black people in particular are more likely to suffer violence or death, even if they don't have a weapon. Philandro Castile being one of the most obvious. And I think what we are hearing from these parents is they saw the evidence that we have not yet seen. And they're saying that it was devastating.
Yeah.
Of course, they're family members, but they're also intelligent people. And it does say something that their lawyers were also repeating some of the things from the footage.
Right. And let's see the video. And we've seen this in the data, although people respond to personal stories. These are traffic stops where the harm and now the potential crime are because the police showed up and did it. That's the issue.